Brought about by the Aviation and Transportation Security Act, TSA procedures have been controversial over whether they are invading our personal privacy or protecting our flights. Many people believe that TSA is necessary to ensure the safety of all flight passengers. Without the procedures of TSA, many people would be at the risk of another tragedy like 9/11. Even airline companies support TSA since terrorist attacks are detrimental to airline profits. Some feel that the Fourth Amendment is violated under TSA procedures. They consider the process excessive and in violation of the Constitution.
TSA starts with checking the boarding pass of every passenger. Then each passenger has to take off their shoes and place all their belongings in bins, including metal objects such as cell phones, watches, and coins. Each passenger then walks through a metal detector that scans for weapons, beeping if only metal is detected. Passengers with metal on them are taken aside for further screening, and if need be, detained.
As seen in the case, the Department of Homeland Security versus McLean, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of McLean's belief that certain security measures should be taken to ensure the safety of passengers, even if these measures briefly expose some security details about the TSA. This ruling shows that the TSA needs its procedures today in order to make it as safe as possible.
The following is McLean's testimony in front of Congress.
Despite a precedential decision, a unanimous Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals panel ordered that TSA's 03 program's lack of clarity must be considered. But all of the TSA's SSI experts were blocked from my hearing. Last year, in another precedential decision, the Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit unanimously ruled I did not violate any laws and ordered a new hearing to determine if I had a reasonable belief of any wrongdoing. The government en banc appealed that decision to every Federal Circuit judge. It was denied unanimously. Finally, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member Lynch, TSA took my testimony out of context to cancel the Ninth Circuit's it was unanimous good faith belief order. It quoted me as saying that it didn't matter to me if I disclosed SSI to the public. But what the transcript reveals is that I stated that it did not matter if I disclosed SSI to my supervisor. It was a perfect cut and paste job. With that, the government now argues in its current appeal to the Supreme Court of the United States that I, quote, intentionally release sensitive security information, unquote. My oral arguments before the Supreme Court are November 4th. I look forward to answering your questions.
On November 19, 2001, just after 9/11, President Bush signed the Aviation and Transportation Security Act, which established it as a federal legislation. Prior to 2001, security screenings weren't as thorough, but now luggage and passengers are screened every time they try to approach a gate in order to find devices that pose a possible threat. On November 1st, 2013, at least 7 people and a TSA officer were injured when a gunman opened fire at the Los Angeles International Airport. Police Chief Patrick Gannon said that at 9:20 a.m., an individual came into the Terminal 3 and pulled an assault rifle out of a bag and began shooting. FBI identified the gunman as an LA resident named Paul Anthony Siriancia, a 23-year-old. The terminal was chaotic as passengers scrambled to escape the gunman. Prosecutors did not reveal what recommendation was made and declined to discuss the case outside of court, the AP reported.
He started shooting right outside the security checkpoint. As police raced in, he made it all the way to the back of the terminal near the departure gate. Passengers ducked for cover, some even hid in a bathroom stall. Officers had their guns drawn, yelling at passengers to drop to the floor.
Everyone on the floor! On the floor now!
And after people ran as fast as they could, the panic and lockdown that followed blocked ambulances from getting close, causing rescue workers to race hundreds of yards to get the wounded to safety. Witnesses say the shooter was armed with multiple guns. When he ran out of bullets in one, he allegedly grabbed another.
I heard gunshots. A few seconds later, I saw him coming up the elevator and walked by about 10 feet away from me with his gun pointed.
Hernandez, a behavioral detection officer trained to recognize strange behavior in airports, shot dead. 2 more TSA officers injured, now recovering from their wounds.